I know I'm sharing some very difficult information about the Jewish Zionist regime. And what I wanted to say about these regimes that we've witnessed throughout history, be that Catholic, Ottoman, Muslim, or Zionist, Jewish, is that they all are Abrahamic religions. So both Christianity and Islam were founded off Judaism, right? That's the root of Abrahamic religions. And in Judaism, the root story, the origin story is that God chooses the Jews over everyone else. So in Jewish belief, it's that they are the chosen people and everybody else is not chosen, meaning they are special in God's eyes, right? Everybody else is Gentiles or goyim, non-Jews, right? And you still see this today in Christianity. So when the Jewish Pharisees were very upset about the life of Jesus and the time of Jesus, because the whole thing was that he came to nullify the Old Testament and say that God has chosen all of us by grace through love, right? So he was loathed by the fundamentalist Jews of the time, right? And the problem is that even today, you see in fundamental Christianity, a lot of Christians will support the state of Israel because their book tells them that the Israelites are chosen or that the Jews are chosen, because the Old Testament was forced into the Christian story. So when Christianity was being founded, the institution of Christianity, during the time of Constantine, like 300 AD, those first few hundred years in the Common Era, or AD, the Christians or Gnostics, they didn't even call themselves Christians, they didn't even call themselves Gnostics, they called themselves telestai, which means aimed. But the point is that there were many variations of how to experience and express the Christ story. And a lot of early Christians didn't believe it literally, right? And they didn't want anything to do with the Old Testament. They were like, the teachings of Jesus have nothing to do with this Old Testament God, Yahweh, who is quite psychopathic. See, Yahweh chooses people over others. Then he gets really jealous and upset about all other nations. He condones his people, the Jews, to kill anybody who doesn't believe in him and to take land because they don't believe in him and they're not the Jewish God, and he's chosen them so they can do what they want, right? So that's kind of the premise of the Old Testament. Okay, so we're dealing with the conception of Yahweh as a God. He's a very insane God. Okay, so the early Christians were like, Yahweh is not our God. Sorry, because he's nuts. And the chosen race ideology is also an insane idea. How can any God choose one race over another? That's nuts. Okay, but yet it prevailed through much violence, because violence is condoned for Abrahamic religions, right? It's condoned. So Abrahamic religions are quite literally inversions. Abrahamic religions as they are today. And I consider myself a Christian, okay? But I don't believe that Jesus is my savior. I don't believe that Jesus literally died for me. I am like an early era Christian who understood the very deep dimensions of Christianity and the Christ oil in my own physiology. Okay, and just because I don't believe the story literally in a fundamental way does not mean I'm not a Christian. In fact, I'm more Christian than fundamental Christians. Okay, so the problem we've seen over these eras is that these religions have risen up and these regimes have risen up, and they have conquered and exploited and committed violence in the name of their God, who ultimately is Yahweh. So today we see the Zionist regime, right? And if you look at the Babylonian Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud is the chosen race ideology gone ballistic. It's gone to the next level. So it's no surprise that we get a Jewish Zionist regime if this is the core essence of Abrahamic religions. It's no surprise these regimes have always been Abrahamic, and today's one is Zionist.